All right, welcome to If My People um, Bible Reading and Commentary. Behind me, you'll see If My People Bible on the shelf. It took 14 years to create this. We looked at hundreds of Bibles. We went through thousands of Christian denominations and found that the churches in the United States are absolutely full of institutionalized doctrines, which is false doctrines. What is not in the Bible should, if it's not in the Bible, it should not be found in your doctrine. Should not be found in your introduction of who your church is. And if your church doesn't have a doctrine and they say other things than what's in the Bible, then it's errant. The Bible uses in the last days in the New Covenant, you'll read that the synagogue of Satan will exist in the last days and Jewish people. Everybody says, "Oh, it's the Jews." No, 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 no. Let's get this right. During the time of Paul, churches were not called churches. They weren't called congregations necessarily. They just gathered in small groups and they gathered in homes because they couldn't go to the synagogues because they did not believe in Yeshua, Jesus Christ. They didn't. And so um, in the last days, churches have picked up the synagogue of Satan. They're one and the same. Here you have Jewish people who are do not who are and do not believe in the first advent of Yeshua, Jesus Christ coming, dying on the cross, rising to the Father. They don't believe that. They believe he was just another guy. Things are going to change here. This Bible is going to open your eyes, or you're going to take it and throw it in the trash. We ask that you read this thing from beginning to end, just like a book. No different than reading a book. Nobody picks up a book and reads the last chapter unless they're not going to read the book. Oh, I see how the movie ends or I see how the book ends, so I'm not going to read the Bible. That's not how it's done. You pick it up from the beginning, and we're going to open up some incredible facts right there in the Word, in which you do not have to deal with doctrines of men, doctrines and traditions of men, false doctrines. We're going to take you straight to the Word, and we're going to start this in 15-minute segments and go entirely through the Bible with commentary. And we ask that when you get to the end, then you can critically comment on anything you want, but don't comment and be so mad and throw the book away until you read this Bible and listen and read our commentaries, and then you can make a decision. And you can just tear into me all you want. I've spent 14 years at this. I'm ready for you to do that. Okay. Um, let's go to it. All right. This is a Bible reading and commentary from the very beginning to the very end. And the word says that the end is revealed in the beginning. That's what the word says in the Old Testament. And it surely does. That's exactly what happens. Um, it is for Christians who are sheep and have moved from being just a sheep to asking questions and seeking and asking and being with the Father daily and finding out that all of this is real. And so they became not sheep anymore. They put the meat on the word. Paul says, don't eat milk, continue on milk your entire life. Get off of the milk and get on the meat. That's what Paul's talking about. And what do you become? You become a shepherd. So, the first book that we begin with here in putting this Bible together, and Bible means a set of books, Biblia, is Genesis, right? No, actually, it's Job. Truth be told, we put Job first. Why? Because most Bible scholars, if they are honest, have always said that Job doesn't seem to fit anywhere. So that's why thousands of Bibles have it somewhere in the first half. Isn't that interesting? And if you dare to put Job first and offer it to a first time reader like we have, then they will finish that book with a lot of questions and already knowing some truth, such as, you know what? There is an evil in this world who seems to want to harm and manipulate and alter humans. DNA, animals, even the earth itself. How Satan wants you to think that you are not redeemable by Yahweh, or even worse, that you're greater than the Father. You're a God yourself, and you will also find that other men, Job's friends, and you're going to have a lot in your life who are mankind, cannot help you for the truth. That's how Job goes through the book, and then towards the end of Job, Yahweh takes over, and then things change. This makes you very ready for the book of Genesis. Genesis meaning the beginning. It's just like you start reading a book, it gets you interested, and then the next chapter, which is the real chapter, is here we go. Here, now you're ready for the beginning. You've been introduced to the world in which you live in, because Job's world is not much different from ours today. So, for the very first sentence in the reading of Genesis, the first sentence, you're going to say, well, I didn't see this, and I read the first sentence 50 times. Well, uh, guess what? Read the book from beginning to end. Don't cheat on the chapters. Read them all. And we put them in order as they were printed by date. Unlike most Bibles, they just kind of put them here, there, and by poetic form and so forth. These were put in and installed and listed in the table of contents as they were written. Timeline. And you will find this so obvious in the very last chapter of Revelation. When you get to the very last chapter of Revelation, suddenly the end takes you right back to the first sentence in the book of Genesis. So now you understood that in the first sentence there was a world, there was a heavens, and there was Yahweh, and there was good and evil, and there was choice. There was choice. There was um, the tree of knowledge and good and evil in that book. It all gets answered there. And so as Revelation ends, what do you find out? You find that there's a heaven, an earth, eternal earth, and there's no need for a sun or moon in the eternal earth in Revelation 21, right? Now think about it. What does the first sentence of Genesis say? In the beginning, there was a heaven and an earth. It doesn't say that the earth needed any sunlight, did it? And it didn't say that it needed any moonlight, did it? And so, do we need a sun and the moon in the first sentence when life existed? No. How do we know that? Because we go to the Revelation 21. So you'll begin to understand why in the 6 days of creation, when the Father, uh, from chapter Genesis 1:1 to the creation, all the way through it, through the sixth day, when Adam, when Adam was created, and he received the breath, the ruach of life in him. Now we understand where that comes from. And so the question's about, well, is the earth 1 billion years old? Is the stars 1 billion years old? How could that be in the sixth day? You'll get to understand exactly what that means and how important it is, because it takes you right back to Revelation 21. There will be uh, humankind supernatural through the redemption through Yeshua to his Father. His bride, you, will be living forever and ever without a moon or a sun. And now that's the same way that life was existed in Genesis 1 1. So read all this, and you're going to be blessed with it. We just ask that you continue with this and to rightfully divide the word. That's a command. That's a Torah command. And by the way, that is a command given in the New Covenant. We ask that you read this Bible, start on the first page, read at the end, just like any other book. Check out every commentary that we say. Pray throughout the reading for discernment, which is a gift from the Father. And after you have read the entire word, then we ask you to be critical and please inform us on a wonderful walk that you've had through this word. Now, as a believer, most all Christians, sheep, as much as they all try to understand, especially when you have a pulpit minister up there who is just another sheep, you'll find that out. And how do you know that? Because You will not be able to hear and obey what the Abba Father commands from someone who's just a sheep. Sheep are dumb. They claim Christianity, but listen to me. Don't get mad. Well, I'm a Christian. You say I'm a Christian. Who do you think you are, Bruce? Well, in reality, you wear it. Do you believe in Jesus Christ? You accept Jesus Christ as my Savior. Amen. And then the next day, you raise hell 6 days a week, and on Sunday for 50 minutes, you pray to Jesus. And then you treat the rest of the world and the Christians like dog meat during the rest of the week. That is not being a Christian. The Christianity name has been stolen, and that's a sad situation. What is the command then? To put on the helmet of salvation? Yes. But a Christian doesn't go to war against the evil in this world wearing a helmet and being totally naked without a weapon, such as the sword of truth. You got to put on the full armor of God. That's a commandment from Yeshua himself and his entire word. So don't be surprised that you're forced out of these institutional churches and synagogues and labeled a Jew, which I'm not a Jew. I'm Naphtali, or I'm grafted in, but I'm not Jewish. Or you're labeled a heretic, like all the other great Bible scholars from years and years ago, who all were burned at the stake by people like popes who made sure that he killed them all. Interesting, isn't it? Or you're just labeled a non-Christian because you don't fit inside of their church doctrines and their traditions of men. Hasatan has entered the churches and the synagogues, and he's having a blast right now. And you will return to meeting in small groups, just like the apostles did in the old days in the formation of church before 320 to 340 A.D., when suddenly churches were invented, and pews were invented, and pulpits were invented, and ministers were invented. Excuse me, when Jesus himself, when Yeshua walked into the synagogue in his day, as it was written, reading this Bible, they all didn't sit in pews, and one guy sat up there, and everybody sat there like an idiot and listened for 50 minutes, then went home to eat chicken at the local town deli. Okay, they all got to answer questions, and they all got to make statements, and they all got to say things. Even Jesus did, even Yeshua did, even as a 12-year-old, he did. Now, you're going to return to that these last days. Yeshua's about had it with those. He already knows the people going to hell. He knows exactly who they are. Do you know? And are you one of them? Or are you one of those saved ones? And if you are, where's your fruit? So, fellow believer, we ask that you pray without ceasing. Rightfully divide the word. Trust in Yeshua, for a shepherd does not gather every week in large congregations, as sheep do. They are alone most of the time, tending to those coming out of the institutionalized churches and synagogues, just as a shepherd who tends the sheep in the field, which is the world, and is alone most of the time. Trust in Adonai in all matters. And by the way, his name is God, not God, G-O-D, it's Yahweh. And his name, when you learn it, you don't do it again. His name is Yeshua, meaning salvation. Salvation is his name, not Jesus. Or you say Jesus. Jesus is a wonderful name. There's hundreds of thousands of them. There's lots of Jesuses everywhere. What does Jesus mean in Greek? It means son of Zeus. So we don't use that once we find out his name. And Holy Ghost, Holy Smokes, and all these other holy things, it is Ruach HaKodesh, and they are Echad. They are in oneness. That's who they are. So words mean things. All shepherds of the word, got 50 seconds. All shepherds of the word were formerly sheep. Formerly sheep. But when you start asking questions and you go up to the ministers and you demand an answer and you never get anything but the runaround, you get kicked out. Good. Best thing that ever happened. Love them. Love those sheep in those churches. They'll say, it's just, well, I know. And you ask them about all things in the Bible. Now, I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I love Jesus. Well, that's just wonderful, but it doesn't get you anywhere. That's a helmet of salvation. That'll get you in the door. But you're supposed to put on the full armor of God. It's because it's not about you. It's about everybody else that you're supposed to be taking care of. That's what the New Covenant Torah, the 1,050 commands, that's what we're going to show you in this If My People Bible. So, institutionalized churches and synagogues have introduced the false doctrines, traditions, and men in the belief system. And once you know this, you repent, you return, you restore, and then you will be able to revive, walk in the Word the rest of your life. However you will go against these principalities and are labeled a heretic. Welcome to end time ministry. Okay? And we love you, and we hope the best for you, but this is the way it's going. See ya at the next reading.